day today, sunshine throughout. Low humidity. Really a splendid September day. The afternoon temperature about 80 degrees. Great weather for the primary election. Tonight, clear and cool, low 60 at Midtown.
It's begun to sound like some sort of a cliche. But really, September 11th started out like every other day.
American Boston.
Please listen very carefully. This is Amy Sweeney on Flight 11. We've been hijacked. 2 attendants have been stabbed.
Okay, do you have any idea where you're headed?
No. People in the coach think it's a routine emergency. We've asked for a doctor, but none's on board.
Can you tell us anything more about the hijackers?
Yes, they have knives and mace. They say they have a bomb.
Okay, how are the people who were stabbed?
One flight attendant's okay. I'm not sure. The other may not make it. Something's wrong here!
What's happening? Amy, are you still there?
We're in rapid descent. We're all over the place.
Can you look out the window and tell us where you are?
I see water, buildings. We're flying low. We're flying very, very low. We are flying way too low.
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices, secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. The pictures of airplanes flying into buildings, fires burning, huge structures collapsing, have filled us with disbelief, terrible sadness, and a quiet, unyielding anger. These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat. But they have failed. Our country is strong. A great people has been moved to defend a great nation. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shatter steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. America was targeted for attack because we're the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world, and no one will keep that light from shining. Today, our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature, and we responded with the best of America, with the daring of our rescue workers, with the caring for strangers and neighbors who came to give blood and help in any way they could. Immediately following the first attack, I implemented our government's emergency response plans. Our military is powerful, and it's prepared. Our emergency teams are working in New York City and Washington, D.C. to help with local rescue efforts. Our first priority is to get help to those who have been injured and to take every precaution to protect our citizens at home and around the world from further attacks. The functions of our government continue without interruption. Federal agencies in Washington, which had to be evacuated today, are reopening for essential personnel tonight and will be open for business tomorrow. Our financial institutions remain strong, and the American economy will be open for business as well. The search is underway for those who are behind these evil acts. I've directed the full resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those responsible and to bring them to justice. We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbor them. I appreciate so very much the members of Congress who have joined me in strongly condemning these attacks. And on behalf of the American people, I thank the many world leaders who have called to offer their condolences and assistance. America and our friends and allies join with all those who want peace and security in the world, and we stand together to win the war against terrorism. Tonight I ask for your prayers for all those who grieve, for the children whose worlds have been shattered, for all whose sense of safety and security has been threatened. And I pray they will be comforted by a power greater than any of us, spoken through the ages in Psalm 23. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. This is a day when all Americans from every walk of life unite in our resolve for justice and peace. America has stood down enemies before, and we will do so this time. None of us will ever forget this day, yet we go forward to defend freedom and all that is good and just in our world. Thank you. Good night, and God bless America.
The first time I saw the World Trade Center, I was in my late 20s, and it took my breath away. I had seen and been in skyscrapers before, but for some reason the scale and the design of those twin towers affected me on another level. I was with my wife, and we went to the South Tower first to get a view from the observation deck, and I remember how we laughed at our mirrored reflection in the ceiling of the elevator on the way to the top. Later that night, we had dinner at the restaurant that was appropriately called Windows on the World. Funny, I've always had a fear of heights, but I felt oddly comfortable that evening, staring out at the glistening lights of the Manhattan skyline. I went there a few more times, not as a tourist, but for more practical reasons. A business partner had some clients in one of the towers. We would go there for meetings, and even though the towers became familiar, I never lost that feeling of awe and wonder that I had on my first visit. On September 11, 2001, my partner had a meeting scheduled in Tower 2, but it was canceled at the last minute on the day before. So instead of taking his normal train and subway commute, he stayed home on that Tuesday morning, not realizing that one phone call had probably saved his life. He would have been there when it all happened, perhaps riding in an elevator and not thinking about how our world was about to change forever, like so many of the less fortunate ones. I'm here now, in the same exact place where the world was very different over 30 years ago. The space still exists, but it has a new meaning and purpose. It's now a tree-lined plaza with 2 cavernous holes in the ground, and flowing waterfalls, and the etched names of men, women, and children, and those never to be born. And the names go on forever. 2 memorials composed of majestic bronze parapets occupy the original footprint of the towers, and each surround a waterfall that is 30 feet deep. Being here once again still takes my breath away, but in a much different way. And the names go on forever. And the names go on forever. They will continue to build here, a visible triumph of the human spirit, and once more people will come here every day, but for different reasons, to remember and reflect and grieve. And the names go on forever. I look at this beautifully designed place and marvel at its perfect, simple elegance. I watch the people as they stand and look and touch and pray without a sound. The water flows amidst the silence and the tears. All I hear is the water, and every once in a while a quiet sob. The wind shakes the trees. The sun shines, and the lights still glisten in the night. There are flowers, and notes, and pictures, and names. And the names go on forever. The names go on forever.